Hey guys, my name's Daggett. Welcome to another video. Today we're drawing a traditional style whale tattoo. If you're new to my channel and you haven't seen any of my videos, I really hope you enjoy this one. If you do, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below, and make sure you hit that subscribe button so you stay up to date with new videos. Alright, to start this one off, we're jumping in with an oval shape. This is going to be the general shape for the body of our whale. Coming off the back of this shape, we're going to do a long sort of S-curve, like so. And we're going to bring that S-curve back into the bottom of the body. So it's going to form a taper towards the back end of the S-curve there. Now, right where the S-curve meets the body, we can come back around a little bit. And then link back to the body to create a dorsal fin, like so. Once you've done your dorsal fin, you can just drop a line down for the front of the head. This is going to be like a slightly angled, wavy line. Bring that down and around. And then it's going to dip in and join into the bottom of the body again. Now you can come to where the circle meets this front section where the head's going to be. And just drop in an oval for the eye. Right? And now the bottom jaw on these guys is pretty big, so you're going to start quite high up on the mouth. Come back towards the eye. Dip down and then come back and around from the eye there, just to make a little loop that's going to create the mouth shape. To drop in the general shape for your fins and tail, I'm going to come back from where the mouth is, slightly down, do a long curve like so, and then an S curve to bring it back. Okay, like this. For the fin coming from the other side of the body, you're only going to see a little bit of it. So you can pretty much just drop down the same shape we did at the tip of this fin. Now for your tail, you're pretty much going to follow your S-curve up. When you reach about this point, you can start to come out a little bit with an S-curve. And then just loop around to join back into the tail. And the other side is pretty much going to be the same thing. Now to start adding some of the textures and details to our whale here, I'm going to start by contouring the head a little bit. Just adding a little bit of a shape to the top of the body there. Now you can add these little bumps, semicircles and circles to the front of the mouth and the bottom jaw as well. Clean that up a little bit. Whale skin has this really rough sort of bumpy texture to it, so I like to do these little circles and bumps, and when you outline those they look really cool. And the front of the fin's going to have a very similar texture, just running along the front of the fin and adding in these little bumps. Okay. Now for the section just underneath where the bottom jaw is here, you're going to follow a line back underneath your mouth. And you're going to keep doing that down the jaw here, the bottom section of the mouth. Okay, and it's going to actually come out from behind the fin and continue up a little bit behind the rest of the body here. So you can just continue some of those lines. Now to draw in our eye, I'm going to come across the top with a hard line. I'm going to flick it off at the back and come back, and then come around the bottom with another hard line like so. For the actual inside of the eye here, I'm going to do a big circle for an iris, like this, and a smaller circle with a cutout on the inside for our pupil, and that little cutout is our highlight space. I'm also going to add this little line just underneath the eye. It's going to make the whale look a little bit more aged and sort of wise, like it's got some wrinkles in the face. Now another thing you might like to do is add in some oval shapes. I like to sort of do this to indicate, you know, a texture on the skin, like a rough sort of texture, but also gives it like a, I don't know, it sort of gives it that ocean feel. Everything in the ocean seems to have these weird spots and blotches on their skin. Now what you can see me doing here is adding in some finger waves. They're basically like little C shapes that connect up to each other in various different ways. I have covered it on a tutorial that's on my channel if you're interested and want to learn specifically how to draw finger waves. I'm not going to go through the full process in this tutorial because I have taught that before, but like I said, they're basically these little ring or C shapes that taper down to meet each other. Now I've got my light pad ready, and I'm going to go ahead and transfer my design to some watercolor paper here, and I'll see you guys in a minute. Alright, I've transferred the design to watercolor paper, and we're going to start painting it. I've got a fairly limited palette here. We're painting with Liquitex acrylic inks. I have carbon black, I have a grey wash, which is just carbon black and some water, Pyrrole red, and I've also got this turquoisey, deep turquoise color, which is just turquoise with a bit of black and mixed with water or diluted with water. Taklon synthetic brushes, number 5 and number 6, and a glass of water to help me blend and wash out my brushes. So, as always, I like to start with my black shading. So I'm going to start off with our carbon black here. And we're going to go ahead and start by painting the little background elements. So I like to sort of get a gauge of how dark things are going to be. So painting in our finger waves. Now I'm going to give you a couple of little examples, and then I'm going to let you guys run with it, because like I said, there's sort of enough information about finger waves already. So start off with any tiny little loops. I just color them in solid black. There's little spots here, solid black. They'd be super dark under there, and you wouldn't see a lot, so you can really just do them solid black, and that's not going to be an issue. Now, for bigger loops, such as the one up the back here, I like to start with solid black in the tightest area, which is the very base of the curve there. Then take my blending brush with a little bit of water, and gently blend that out and around with the shape of our curve. And so now you get this nice fade from a dark out to a light of grey there, and that's going to give you your curve. So we'll do the same thing for this little one here, starting with black towards the inside base of it. That's sort of the darkest portion. A little bit of water, a little bit more water, and we can start to blend that out forward and down into our loop. That's going to give us our little dark area. So I'm pretty much going to start, I start most of my drawings with black shading, and most of the time I'll start with background to get a nice idea of how dark things are going to be and how dark the foreground or the subject matter can be. Right, now that the background's done, it's time to black shade the actual whale. So I'm going to start off with the top portion of the body here. And you're going to start by basically applying a layer of black towards the top of the body, but I want to leave a very small border of white along our top line there. This will help separate it from the background and just leave a bit of a gap at the top there, almost like a streak of highlight. Now you're going to do this section by section, otherwise it'll be really hard to blend, but do a little section of black, take some water and just start blending that down. Like so, and you can just gently blend that down towards your eye, towards the bottom section of the whale there. To do your next bit, and just continue your black along that top section of the body. And then, like I said again, you're sort of doing this in sections to prevent the ink from sort of drying out and not giving you a smooth blend, because that tends to happen if you leave the ink for too long. For the tail, it's going to be black from the front edge, and there's no background in this area, so I'm not going to leave that little white strip to sort of help separate it. I'm just going to go in with solid black off that front edge. Nice solid shadow. And then a bit of water to start blending that out and back towards the rough edge of the tail. You can do the same thing for the other side, and you can now see that leaving that little white strip on that along that top edge there, it just helps to separate things. Otherwise this black shadow would be clashing with that black shadow, and it'd be really hard to see what's going on, which when you're designing for tattoos, clarity is king. Okay, last thing to do is the fins, and you're doing them pretty much the same way you did those, but with these I will leave a little white border across the front, again just to sort of help separate things out a little bit. And then you're just blending backwards from there. For the other fin at the front, I'm actually going to do it flat black. It is sort of more in the background. Alright, we're getting there. I've just washed out my blending brush, going into my grey wash here. And I'm just going to pretty much paint in between some of those lines that we did on the bottom of the face here. Doesn't need to be super dark either, so you can always take a bit of water and just work out some of your greys, but just adding a little bit of grey shading between those lines. Like this. This is just going to help add a little bit more detail and depth to our design here. Okay, now I've washed out both my blending brush and my inking brush. I'm actually going to use my blending brush with this turquoise, dark turquoise wash that I made. And I'm going to run that along my black at the top here. Like so. Put a bit of water on my brush. And then work that down into the body of the whale. It's going to get nice and light towards the body of the base of the body, and start off sort of darker where it's in this blackened out area at the top. Fair bit of water is going to be used in this part because you want to sort of saturate the paper a little bit to draw that pigment down and really be able to work it in. Now you're just going to do the exact same thing for your tail and your fins, applying your turquoise color over the top of your blacks and grays, and then gently blending it out and back towards your lightest point. And this is going to help soften it and sort of lighten it a little bit. Alright, last couple of steps. I added some transparent raw sienna to my palette here. Just using that for the pupil on either side of the highlight there. And now I'm going to take a little tiny drop of our Pyrrole Red on either side of the eye. Basically where the corner of the eye is. And then very gently blend that out and around. Like that. And I'm also going to use that red for a little bit of a background glow just up behind our waves here. Like so, little semicircle. And then gently blending that out in a circular fashion until it reaches the white of the page. That's going to give you that little bit of a glow, a little bit of a sun in the background sort of feel. You could do a little bit on the other side as well if you wanted to. I try to keep them relatively small. I don't like to have huge areas of this red glow. I think it looks better in smaller sort of areas. Now that is basically it on how to draw a whale in a tattoo style. I really hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Leave me a comment down below letting me know what you thought and maybe what you'd like to see in future videos. And until next time, I'll see you later. Bye-bye. If you like the content that I make and you'd like to support the channel, make sure you smash that like button. And hey, while you're at it, check out one of these other great videos.